So for me, because I can trust my intuition, I lean into it. So circling back to what sparked this episode, I've noticed in working with people, they don't trust their intuition.
No, I think that's true.
So they don't rely on it. And how do we make that switch?
Mm. How do we make the switch? Is it a switch? Is it like a light switch? Or is this more of a, this is another area where we're replacing maybe some habits that good or bad. Maybe all our habits are good. Let's assume the best, right? We have lots of good habits, but are they prioritized right? We only have room for so many habits in our brain and our capacity to take action and to evaluate information, right? Our brains can do a lot more, but we can't really identify with all of it scientifically and biologically, right? So in that same mindset, do you prioritize? This might be an area where we could even say identify the habits that you are good at or that you feel like you do really well that are on your list, and then start prioritizing them. And do we have this? Do you have this ability to connect with your intuition and trust your gut on that list? Is it a habit that you're exercising every single day?
Right. And we all have a voice that doesn't use words, right? That's this intuition that we're talking about.
Yes.
So are we listening to it?
Yes.
Or are we listening to all the external voices?
And I think there's power in both. So, as we were kind of talking through this episode, I just want to, this might resonate with some people because it kind of stuck out to me. There are going to be lots of influences, lots of voices, lots of noise. There's always going to be, right, that those distractions and that noise out there that's going to be competing for a spot, right, in your head. And it's going to be competing to try to get you to take an action or get you to believe a certain thing, right? Do it my way because my way is better, right? So there could be some negative voices, but there could be positive voices. And so having the discernment, being able to, and I think this kind of really meshes well with this idea of trusting your gut. Who are you listening to, right? So if you're making an intentional decision on listening to people that you want to become, right? Go find that person that's 40 years, 20, 30, 40 years ahead of you and is already doing the things that you want to be doing. And try to start intentionally finding mentors. It doesn't have to be a contractual relationship, right? But surround yourself with people that are doing the things you want to do, that have already learned the things you want to learn, that are working in the businesses or owning the businesses that you want to own, that have the kind of family dynamic that you want to have. Surround yourself with those people and learn from them. Learn the things that you want to duplicate. Learn the things that you don't want to duplicate.
Yeah. And while you're saying that, I'm going to try to look up a quote. It's something about you are the 5 people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that quote?
Yeah, I've heard something similar. I think there's lots of variations of that out there, but absolutely, this goes back to that mental focus, right? What we focus on is the behaviors that we exercise. Where we spend our money is the things that we're most invested in. It's the things we prioritize the most. It's the things that we feel like are the most important. And who we spend our time with is ultimately who we become. I like the other version that you are what you eat, right? If you are what you eat, you are who you hang out with, Right.
So I found it. It's the word I was missing was you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
There you go.
And that was by Jim Rohn, if I'm pronouncing his last name.
So if you're looking
right.
for mentors, you want to average up. But if you're looking to be a mentor, you might be looking to average down, right? So that you can help those people and be for them what these other people are for you.
So I would say do a quick inventory of who are the 5 people you surround yourself with. Are they positive? Are they toxic? Are they who you want to be like? Are they who you don't want to be like?
Are they just the same as you, right? So that doesn't move the needle up or down.
Right. And I say a lot, like with my husband, we're opposites attract. And I think it suits us and serves us well, because if we were exactly the same, I don't know what that type of marriage would be like. I've never been in that type of marriage, but I think opposites attract serves us well. And when I look at my friends, I have a very good friend and we joke, we're the yin and the yang. We come at life, we approach life from 2 very different ways, 2 very different perspectives. and we learn from each other because of it.
Sure.
And so when I look at like who those 5 people are,
Yeah.
they're all different in some way, and they're all positive. They all leave me feeling refueled, regenerated. They fill me up. They support me. And I think that's important.
We talk about this in leadership development a lot, right? So if you're a leader of a company, if you own your own small business, if you're just a middle manager, or even if you're just a line worker, right? You have a circle of influence. But when we start talking about what separates good leaders from bad leaders, and we've all got examples of working with or around both good and bad leaders, the good ones tend to be the ones that identify their own weaknesses, right? And they surround themselves with people that are different, but they're good different, right? So they fill all of the voids, all the weaknesses. They shore them up. So collectively, this leader is not just one person. Now he's 5, 10, 15 people, but the value that group is creating is tremendous. And all of a sudden, the entire company thrives, the entire organization thrives, and the people feel valued, right? Because they're getting to lean into the things that they're just naturally good at. They get to trust their instinct. So this just popped into my mind. This kind of leans on the education system a little bit. So something that we've noticed in our family, my father's an educator and my little sister is an educator. And something that they've noticed kind of shifting around is how the educational system views education and what's important, what's not important, how to educate people at different age ranges in the different schools and everything. And it's this tennis match, right? It's this pendulum just swinging one way and the other. It's always at the extreme edge. It's always all the way in the far right position, getting ready to go back to the left, right? And then it swings all the way back to the left. So lots of overreaction. But it's this idea that, on the one hand, you want to structure education so that kids learn what they need to learn. On the other hand, there is a natural curiosity, especially in children, that has been kind of, putting out the candle, right? Popping the bubble of these young minds and saying, you've got all these fascinations, these ideas, these fantasies, none of it's going to come true. Let me tell you what you need to know so that you can go out into the workplace and be successful in the way that I want to shape you, right? I'm going to force you into this mold. And so we've really been swinging back and forth between these challenging, these competing ideas. And I don't think either one by itself is the right one. I think it has to be kind of finding that balance. And I think that's where we are in this conversation. We have to find the balance for ourselves where we allow our inner voice to have a dominant position, but we also allow ourselves to be molded by our environment.